Ep2. Go on, spit your bars.
Oh, what?
You weren't ready?
No, I wasn't ready.
Supposed to hit him with that yow. Yow.
Hey. My name is Nik, and I'm sitting here in my living room waiting to fill the Zoom.
About to flow. So you didn't know that we can do with everything we do with Grow.
I got his back. He got my front.
And now we're about to what? Hit him up.
Hey.
Y'all ready to put out an EP?
Y'all ain't ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with all the pleasure in my soul to introduce these two lovely people that, how long have we known each other?
Forever.
Listen, man, we go back to college days. Indiana State, Terre Haute, Indiana. Man, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together right now for the Naked Proverbs Podcast, aka Tanika and Richard Scott. Let's hear it for them. Yes. How are y'all doing in this COVID season?
What's going on, man? We're doing great.
Yeah, we're making it. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, it would be nice to come to Colorado and get some of that dispensary goodies y'all got up there.
Hey,
it's an essential. It's
essential.
Yeah, they didn't shut them down. They tried for about
3 hours.
Yeah.
I bet everybody in Colorado just like, what's up, man? We just got to get through this COVID, get some snacks, and just chill.
They was. Yeah, they chilling.
So let's just get straight to it. So the Naked Proverbs Podcast. I listened to some of y'all stuff, and y'all really be getting in there. Y'all be getting into the groove. You know, when you got to shower, you got to get into the crevices. Y'all be getting into them cracks.
You got to. I mean, if you're not gonna be real about it, the marriage ain't even gonna work no way.
It ain't for you.
Yeah, because y'all past the stage where somebody can be brushing their teeth while somebody on the commode, right?
No, we don't do that. I mean, there's one of us that tries to do it. But nah, she don't do that.
Man, I know that when I find a woman, and this is not it's not a commercial for any woman I date to try this shit. But when I come to the level of comfort to be able to handle your business, and hey, baby, so we going to the game later on or what? You're like, yeah, that is love right there, and you guys are really in love.
Yeah.
I seen it from
after all these years, we still together.
Yeah. And y'all doing big things, man. Tanika, I've been following you on YouTube for the longest. With all, like, you do a variation of things on your page.
Well, that's an unfortunate lesson. That was a lesson that I learned. I think that anybody who's interested in doing a YouTube channel should really stick to one thing and then maybe expand later. But yeah, there's some of everything you can find on my YouTube channel.
Well, it's hard because on my YouTube channel, I'm doing everything from fixing cars to singing at weddings.
I didn't know you sang at weddings. You didn't sing at my wedding.
I'm lying. I didn't sing at the wedding. I actually got a speeding ticket at y'all wedding.
You did?
I heard that in your one of your previous podcasts when you was talking about the Dub K. I listened, and you got a speeding ticket, and I was like,
yeah. I'm just now recovering from that speeding ticket in my 41 years on this planet.
Wow.
You know, when you're in college, you ain't got no money. And then Richard, you have you're a real estate agent now.
Yeah, I'm a mogul, man. I'm always evolving, always changing.
That's
Doing big
dope.
things.
So how did you transition into that?
You know what? Really, reality is after I finished my time in the military, I finished one career, and I was kind of sitting around like, what's next? And one of the things I learned while I was in was just the opportunities that exist in and around real estate, from ownership to investing to buying and selling. And in the end, it was just something that, I gravitated to and have had great success at. So I've continued.
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about that. I'm in the process right now. I'm thinking about getting some property. So, and I know other people that are. Yeah, I live in. You would think that I live in New York, as small as my apartment is, because it costs way too much that I want to spend, and I'm basically in my living room and my bedroom right now.
Okay.
If I want to take a nap, all I gotta do is dip a little bit, and I'm in the bed.
Yeah, this could be our living room and bedroom too. It could be. It could be.
Not really.
It could be.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask the first question to you guys as a unit. Being in a committed relationship is difficult enough, I know. But using 3 words, what has been the key to the success of you guys' marriage?
Start.
So just 3 words, huh?
Well, we can start off with the 3 and then
you
can elaborate on those. I just want to see if you can bottle as much as you can up in 3 words.
Okay, so my 3, because I know what one of his is probably going to be, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
My 3 are understanding, grace, and what's sacrifice.
Okay. Well, my 3, because I get 3 too, so it really means we get 6 because there's 2 of us.
Right.
2 times 3 is 6.
Right.
I would say forgiveness, unconditional love, and determination.
Now, out of all of that, unconditional love, that's like a process. Like you can to me, you can have everything else, but it takes like some ingredients to get to that unconditional love, because I've been at the point for the longest. If you squeeze the toothpaste in the middle, we done.
Well, see,
I can like you a lot.
That's why I ain't married to you.
Man,
that's why we never made it, Jamille.
Man, that is the worst thing that can happen. And I can be in love, like I'm like, ooh, man, I can't wait to go out with you. And as soon as I walk in that restroom and I see that toothpaste in them, I'm like, you got to go. You are disrespectful.
But why?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the deeper issue there?
Yeah, what is that about?
That's control.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm weird. I'll admit that. Like, I cannot stand to hear anybody chew.
Okay.
Like, as a kid, my brother used to do that. And that would bring tears to my eyes because I would be so frustrated. And so as an adult, I have little issues like that, like bending, like squeezing the toothpaste from the middle. The toothpaste haven't done anything to you. Just get it out of
that takes too long. Ain't nobody got time to be making sure the toothpaste is all nice and neat and squeezed from the bottom. Listen, first of all, I don't even want to get up in the morning. Second of all, I ain't got time to be making sure that the toothpaste is perfect when I'm putting it on my toothbrush. So I'm half asleep. I'm in my 40s, so my vision ain't like it used to be. So all I'm trying to do is brush my teeth. That's it. I ain't trying to make sure that all of your little anal retentiveness is taken care of. I mean, but that is one thing that I think that he has come to accept about me, that I am not as tidy as he is.
I mean, and I think that's that unconditional love, right? That's the determination. At the end of the day, in any marriage, you have to be in it to win it. And
of course, yeah.
You can't take those little things. And I know we're joking about the toothpaste, I hope, but at the end of the day, is it really big enough for me to say I don't want to be married to you, or big enough that I don't want to spend the rest of my life with you, or I don't want to wake up next to you every day? Because to me, that's such a small thing out
Yeah.
of all the things that we gain in our marriage together.
Yeah, but we are also married, right? Now, if
Yeah,
you'd have known that I
yeah.
squeezed the toothpaste from the middle when we were
You
dating,
probably wouldn't have made it.
No, I mean, you know what?
Like, can
It's
you
been
believe
hard,
this
but
girl?
He was so fine, and I think I probably would have just looked past it.
Okay.
yeah, he ain't married me for my toothpaste squeezing skills now.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Man, is this G-rated?
Oh, yeah, you know how we could get on Naked It's explicit.
Come on now. This is Jamille's show. We can do what y'all do. But so you guys are married. So you already passed that hump. So I know I used to have a foot fetish. And so if I was dating a woman and she didn't have pretty feet, or not necessarily pretty, but I don't like those mountains. Like,
I understand.
And as a adolescent, that would really irk me. And so it wasn't that we didn't make it past the dating stages. Whereas now, I don't really care about all that superficial stuff. Like,
yeah,
you can walk around with no socks on and your shit's jacked. But back in those days, like, that wasn't happening. So that's what I was talking about. The unconditional love is a process.
it is, and it's an evolution.
Yeah, because you have to evolve together. So how did both of you deal with the baggage that each of you brought to the relationship? Because nobody's perfect. Did you guys eventually resolve? Like, do you still have those bags? You just look past it, or did you guys kind of?
I'm perfect. So, I mean, I think that's where we have to start. Is I am perfect. So I didn't come with any baggage.
Good rebuttal.
No, it wasn't.
No,
that was terrible.
No, so honestly, in the beginning, I would say I didn't believe I had any baggage.
Okay.
Because I really did believe that I was put together really well.
Okay.
And over the years, I've come to realize I did come into my marriage with a lot of baggage.
Mm-hmm.
I had mama daddy issues. I have trust issues. I had money issues. I had all kind of issues that I didn't even realize I had.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the first thing that you have to think about when you come into any relationship is realizing that you are not perfect and being honest with yourself. Because if you just go into the relationship like I did, thinking that everything is all peachy cream and if there's any issues, it's her, then you're going to have problems.
When I'm perfect, like I really am perfect. So I don't know how two perfect people got together, but the first thing that comes to mind when you said baggage was from previous relationships. And for me, we got married so young.
Yeah.
There weren't a whole lot of other serious relationships for me. I don't know. I mean, I know you. Oh, yeah, you did.
Man, people liked me, but I mean,
no, that one girl in New York. I don't remember her name.
Saying like there was one. There were many.
The one that you were serious about. She was also in the Army. But anyway, he always act like he don't remember who I'm talking about every time I bring up somebody from the past.
Because I'm here with you. Who cares about the past?
Okay, anyway. I didn't have a lot of serious relationships, me personally, before him. But yes, when we're talking about baggage, it does come in different forms. And I don't think a lot of people, when they enter a relationship, think about the baggage that they're bringing from other relationships that might not necessarily be intimate with their siblings, with their cousins, with their grandparents, with their parents, with whoever they've had these personal relationships with. People get scorned and burned in so many different ways of their lives. And you bring all of that with you into an intimate relationship with your partner when you're married.
Yeah. How do you know when to be vulnerable? Because I find, even for myself, when I get into a situation, I'm already like, you say the wrong thing and I'm out this door. You understand me?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like that. And I understand that that's baggage from my previous relationships or situations, even stemming down to my childhood, from having the daddy issues from him not being around. But And it's almost it almost feels like that's the norm now, because the slightest thing I can do or the woman can do, and we both like just striking up Michael Jackson music and
Yeah.
and moonwalking on out the situation.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing the value in that situationship relationship and saying, hey, you're important enough to try to get through this.
First, you got to be real with yourself, right?
Mhm.
That, to me, self accountability is so huge. And we are all in our 40s now. So we should be real with ourselves. Like, we should be able to look in the mirror and be like, you know what? That's stupid. And you need to get over that. And here's steps to get over it. A lot of times, when we recognize things about ourselves, we don't want to admit that it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we admit to ourselves that we're wrong, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
So I think the first step in becoming vulnerable is becoming vulnerable with your own self.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I would have to agree. I think that a lot of people go from one relationship to the next, or if they don't jump into a relationship immediately, they never really stop to self-reflect. And if they do reflect on that relationship, it's all about what the other person did wrong or what the issues were with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But to really just be vulnerable and say, you know what, I probably did kind of speak over her a lot, and I kind of did dismiss her feelings, and I created some of the issues in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people fail to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
then they get into the new relationship and they're doing the same thing and having the same outcome and don't realize, why am I having the same outcome? But you have to address those issues.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I well, not point out, but when I'm in the course of dating somebody, I always position a conversation to see if she blames every dude for all of for her being single.
That's important.
Yeah, because as soon as it's everybody else's fault but yours, you just showed your whole deck of cards. And not only that, even if it looks like you were perfect in that situation, you still played a role in whatever
Absolutely.
happened. So
Absolutely.
we have to claim some level of accountability in all of our even failures, mishaps, stumblings, whatever you want to call it. We do have a level of accountability in it, even if it's just by allowing it to happen.
That's right. That's right. That is so right. And I just got to say, I'm glad that I found love at a young age, because I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to be single looking for love in 2020. Like, that's just got to be, I don't even know what that life is like.
Can't be fun.
It couldn't be.
It's like that. No, I've come across some good women. It's, in college, you're just surrounded by a bunch of people. So, as you get older, plus you get in your ways and you like your toothpaste squeezed in the right place. And so you kind of sometimes get in your own way.
Yeah. I
so,
can see that.
And sometimes when I hear people say, well, he's going to have to take me for who I am, accept me for who I am, or she's going to have to accept me for who I am. And then you look at the people that say that and just throughout their lifestyle, you don't like who you are.
No. And that's the thing, is I think that people really shouldn't say that, first of all, because we met when we were 18 years old. If I was the same person that I was at 18 years old at 42, something is wrong.
Right.
Like, something is wrong. Like, we should expect that our partner and the person that we're going to spend the rest of our lives with is going to change and grow. Now, that's something that we had to learn over the course of our marriage because, of course, we were so young, we didn't know anything. But you can't just accept me for who I am. What does that even really mean?
Right. Because who you are right then, like you said, you shouldn't be the same person. So you should be in a constant state of evolution
and growth.
Yeah. And so should your partner. Speaking of, since you guys, you were together since you were teenagers, both of you guys have been extremely ambitious in your endeavors. how has that sort of has that been has that been an issue that being in, because I know that one time when I ran into you guys when you was downtown and I had a show, and that's when I found out that Tanika, you was doing you was down here for jewelry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you had mentioned that you were doing entrepreneur type stuff, and then I think you was with this company that my company was cousin was with for a second, but I was like, man, that's dope that she can be 100% on her own. Like that was dope. And then you know, when PR, when you came back from the military, and you was a recruiter, and then you became a real estate agent doing your own thing. How that just sounds like the makeup of a power couple.
I mean, we are a power couple, and reality is that it takes a lot of give and take to be a power couple. Mm-hmm. I'm not always number one. She's not always number one. Sometimes neither of us are number one. Yeah. But
it's real.
We both gonna take last place.
Yeah, I mean, we take losses too. But to be a power couple, you have to be willing to take losses. Definitely. And for me, I think I would say I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for the fact that I'm married to this woman, because she pushes me, she inspires me, she is there for me. You know, I mean. So at the end of the day, I would say, you know, you really can't be a real power couple if one person is outshining the other all the time, and you just a tag along, you know. Yeah.
Or if one person is jealous or envious of the person, because let's be clear, there are some marriages and there are some relationships where one person is the face, right? And I say it about us all the time. He's the face of this and I'm the operations. And my role in this marriage, I'm very comfortable with being his support, with helping him and allowing him to shine. That doesn't mean like I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together.
All right, Neo.
And I know and I know that, right? And I also want to make this point just for the people that are listening to this, is that I heard someone say one time recently that power couple does not mean perfect couple. So for us to get to this space, it did not come without some challenges and some trials and tribulations and some tests, right? Our relationship has been tested so many times and in so many ways, in ways that we didn't even know how to navigate through. But because of those 6 things that we talked about at the beginning of this episode, I think those were some of the tools that we had to leverage to make it through.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the tribulation that you had to endure, I don't really think that when people get married, I don't really think they understand the turbulence that they're about to experience. Like it's all peachy cream, it's all beautiful, the roses and the rice being thrown and all that stuff. But you have 2 separate individuals that have been individuals for a long time in their lives, having to merge into becoming one unit. There's nothing that's going to be peach and cream about that. Of course, it's going to have its beautiful times,
right?
But again, you can't. There's nothing that you can put together without it being some type of high pressure, some type of fire that melts the items together to make them congeal into one. Like you just can't snap your fingers and 2 separate things become one.
And I mean, I think you're right. And reality is most people don't talk about their marriages. Most people are not transparent about what goes on in their marriages. People always talk about the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And everybody sees marriage as this perfect union, but it's really like an iceberg. All you're seeing is the tip of it. You really have no idea how deep that iceberg really goes. And that's really why we started Naked Proverbs, was because we wanted to have some real truth. That's the naked part behind marriage. Because I think there's a lot of marriages out there that could actually survive if they knew that you're not the only one that's gone through that or going through that. It is something you can still have a successful marriage after this has happened.
Yeah. And I say it all the time. We find mentors in every other area of our life. We will talk to other people about how bad our kids are and look for advice. We will talk to people about our careers and how we're supposed to get to the next level. We have mentors in every area, but when it comes to marriage, we don't have mentors. And I think because, especially in the Black community, I don't know much about other people. So when I'm talking, I'm speaking from a Black perspective because I'm Black and we Black.
Right.
So in the Black community, we're told, don't tell people about your marriage. And I would agree with that to a certain extent, because when you go through a situation and you feel by yourself and you don't have anybody to talk to, the first thing that's going to come to mind is to quit and to throw in the towel, because you see these people over here and they're perfect, but no, they're not. Marriages, a lot of marriages, most marriages go through the exact same things, just at different intensity levels.
Yeah. So do you guys have that?
Marriage mentors?
Yeah, a marriage mentor?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And are you guys marriage mentors to other people?
We have been. I would say, we have younger couples that reach out to. We have some older couples that have reached out to us. We have, we've had people that have been married for twice as long as us that have reached out to us to, get some mentorship, some counseling. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been a marriage mentor a couple times in my life.
Great job, Steve Harvey.
I just did.
Right. Because, so are you saying that married people are looking to you for counseling?
Come on now, talk to me, church.
What? There are so many things wrong with that.
Nah, I don't talk to the couples. I talk to an individual. Like, you know what? You need me in your life. No, dude, I'm just playing. So, speaking of, you mentioned your children being bad, which I know that don't apply for you guys as kids.
Depends on the day.
I can't believe that. No.
What? Are you serious?
Not the babies.
Okay, so kids are literally like the 2.0 versions of their parents.
Uh-huh.
So we have teenagers, and our oldest is literally Richard in a teenage female body.
Nah, don't say that.
Unstable.
I just remember when she was a baby.
Unstable.
And then our 15-year-old is the 15-year-old version of me to the 10th power.
So that means you got the older one walking around there cracking jokes and terrorizing people, and then you got the you version around there being sassy.
That mouth.
Sounds just like.
I told her today I was about to chop her throat.
So how are you guys prepping them for the future? Because you can't be as ambitious as you guys are and not instill that mindset of being self-sufficient and really shooting for the stars into your children.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, see, he's looking at me. Well, I talk to my kids a lot, and I always have, even when they were little. And so there's a lot of things going in my head right now. The first thing is when kids come up with parents like us, and I mean, we're successful. We have our own metrics and levels of success. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's scary for kids. And I think that because I have same-sex kids, that we've experienced that to some degree with our daughters, feeling like I can't live up to my, like, she's this and I don't want to be that. So they go the complete opposite direction. But for me, I always find it important to have conversations with them, even when they're not listening or seeming like they're not listening. It's always important to have conversations. And one thing that we've both tried to impress upon our kids is that life is about choices. Like, your choice has a ripple effect. It's not just you in this. So those are just some of the things that are just like going through my head right now.
I mean, you just have to be a parent that remembers what you were like when you were that age. Mm-hmm. You know,
a lot of parents forget that they were.
Yes.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, because I always tell people, I really try to raise my daughters to be strong women. Mm-hmm. My wife always says, we're raising somebody's wife, we're raising somebody's mother, and we've always treated our children like that from day one. So it's not just go to school, do your homework, clean the house. I mean, those are important tasks, but is that really all life is really about?
Mm-mm.
No. So if you're not teaching your children what life really looks like, having conversations about bank accounts and credit and business and taxes and ownership, then you're doing your child a disservice, because I feel like many of the obstacles we have faced in our life were because our parents, they did the best they knew how, but they dropped the ball in a lot of areas. They weren't talking about good credit, bad credit. They just had bad credit and never told me what that even meant.
Yeah, and it's important too, I think, for parents to accept that your kids are not mini me's. Like, I have daughters, and it's easy for me to be like, oh, I just want a couple other Niks running around. No, my kids are so much better than me. They're smarter than me. They're savvier than I am. They're more talented than I am. They're more confident than I am. So no, I want them to be the best versions of themselves. I damn sure this world does not need two more me's running around here.
No.
I mean,
the world can't handle it.
When I talk to some of my friends that have children, and we're talking about certain topics that specifically pertains to us, because like you, Nik, I don't really focus on nobody else. Everybody else is doing their thing, and it's important for the people that actually seek information and seek a better way to try to help those that may not know anything around that, or just to network with everybody that's looking to push forward. But a lot of parents don't want to have certain conversations with their children because they say, well, we want them to remain a child as long as possible. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. But in my case, I was a child and then I was an adult. There was no, when you're running fast, when you stop to slow down, you kind of slow down till you stop. No, this was like this way, then it was boom that way. And when you went the adult route, you got a wake up call instantaneously. And at that time, when you get that wake up call, it's like, hey, mama, daddy, I need some help. And they like, you on your own, baby. I love you. I had one of my relatives, we had a conversation about having the sex talk with the kids. And of course, everybody I know, they want to do the same stuff that their parents did, that their parents did, that their parents didn't say, don't have sex until you get married. Which clearly never worked in any of the cases that I know of personally. It might work for some people, but I mean, this day and age, sex is everywhere. It's in Burger King commercials, it's in toys, and it's all types of sex now. So if, as a parent, if you don't go and teach these lessons, then you're leaving your child naked for somebody else that didn't get to teach each other. And then that's where mistakes happen that sometimes are irreversible. So I really think it's important. I mean, of course, there's levels to it, where your child gets to a certain level of consciousness to be able to comprehend what you're talking about anyway. But like, I remember my mama came talking to me about the birds and the bees, and she was like this. She said, the birds, the bees, and then the bees, and then the birds. You get it? And I'm at the kitchen table like, what the hell is happening right now? Something about some birds and some bees. All right. About to go back to my room. Have a good one. And of course, I don't understand to the 100% level of it, because I don't have any children that I know of. Thanks to Maury Povich, I always got to put that in. So I don't know if I think that I would be able to be real with my kids, because I'm real with everybody else, no matter how. Well, I'm not.
Well, you have to. You have to be real with your kids. Like, these kids chose you. Our kids chose us to be parents, and it would not be a good idea for me not to equip my children with every tool available to them for them to be successful. And that includes talking about sex. That includes talking about drugs. That includes talking about alcohol. That includes having real conversations. Like, I didn't grow up in that kind of household. Like, my household was very open. Mm-hmm. Right. My mom, God rest her soul, was very, very, very explicit about everything. Oh, okay. And that's the kind of way that I grew up. And I wasn't as explicit with my kids, but there were times where Rich would look at me like, did that just come out of your mouth talking to a 10-year-old? Yes, because here's the deal. With the access that these kids have, they already know.
Yeah.
They have already been exposed.
Yeah.
They might already be doing it.
Yeah.
So you're doing your child a disservice by trying to keep them a child. No, it is our job to make sure that they transition from being a child into an adult in every sense of the word.
Yes, I agree. So my next question, since we're on this level of talking about children, when both of you were individually, of course you're still individually humans, but as children, what did you perceive your future being, or what did you desire for your future, expect or wish, and compare that to where you at now? Are you glad that you are like, I don't want to say are there any regrets, but you wouldn't be who you are today if it wasn't for your past. But if you had the opportunity to change your past based off of what you desire, what would those changes be? In combination, if you want to, I'm sure you want to keep everything the way it is now, as far as the love and the family and stuff. But I'm just talking about everything on the outside and maybe on the inside.
For me, I would say I didn't grow up with a whole lot of dreams and ambition because I wasn't necessarily surrounded with a lot of dreamers. I wasn't surrounded by a lot of people with a lot of ambition. I come from a family of people that you go to work, you get paid, you pay your bills, you go to church, then you do it all again. And that's living. And I didn't really realize what life was until years later. I started off life thinking that's what life was you go to work, you pay your bills, you come home, you take care of your family. And I'm not knocking those things because those are strong foundational pieces, but I would say that's basic training. Mm-hmm. And there are advanced levels of this. And what actually sparked me to become and kind of go down these different paths I've gone on is, because initially, like you said, we met in college. So I was in the military, then I was a college student, then I was in the military again. And what I realized in each of those environments was that there was another level, a level that I had never seen before, a level that I had never experienced. And I wanted to experience those next levels financially. I wanted to experience those next levels from the people that I was surrounding myself with. So at that point, I started to purposely be in crowds where people were smarter than me. And because I was constantly in rooms where people were smarter than me, I was always learning. I was always learning new things. I was always hearing things that my eyes were constantly being open to new opportunities and things I didn't know even existed. And because of that, I've seen the world. My kids have multiple stamps in their passports because I understand the importance of them getting out and seeing the world. I've sat in the room with multiple multimillionaires on a regular, like that's, I got people on my phone now, like, hey, what's going on? But that's because I wanted more. So I would say that initially I didn't realize there was more. Now I'm so hungry now, like you can't stop me.
Word.
Well, for me, it's a little bit different. I always say that my family was probably college educated from the time they were freed from slaves. And with that college education, it kind of opened doors for opportunity. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I kind of grew up with that. Both of my maternal grandparents are multi-millionaires. So I've seen, what money can do for you at their level. And so when I was younger, I always knew that I was always going to be fly, even as an old woman. I knew, these are things.
You're going to be the sassy grandma?
I'm going to be the sassy grandma. I'm going to be the glamour. I knew that I was going to live in a nice home. I knew that I was going to drive a nice car. I didn't know that I was going to be married and have kids. Like I didn't visualize that for myself. But I think at this stage in my life, there's definitely nothing that I'm dissatisfied with. And like my husband, I'm very hungry for more. And at this point, it's just not my life. Like my life is not my own anymore. It is my husband's life. It is my children's life. It is my grandchildren's life if they choose to have children. This legacy and this lineage, that's what we're building now. So those dreams that I had as a little girl, and I tease my husband all the time and I say, anything I've ever wanted in my life, I've always gotten it. It doesn't matter what it is. If I say that I want to, go and have this kind of pair of jeans, I'm going to get those kind of pair of jeans. I don't know when I'm going to get them. I don't know how I'm going to get them, but I never have to worry about those things. And I think at this point, that's the way that I'm living my life. It's just really flowing and knowing that this is not the end and we're still evolving and growing.
God dang it, that was beautiful. Both of y'all hugged through the laptop. Come here. That was beautiful. And I know it was genuine, so I'm not just saying that for the show. Now, the interesting part is the two dynamic upbringings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's the dynamic. And so when I was a child, I remember this, and I've said this story so many times. I don't know if people believe me. I don't care what people believe, but as a child, I remember laying across my grandmother's. She had a hill on her front yard, and we used to roll down the hill. But this one particular day, it was summertime, and I was rolling down the hill playing. And then I just stopped and kind of laid back, and when you put your fingers, interlock your fingers behind your head, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm looking at the clouds. There weren't that many clouds, and then you see the sun go by. And for just in that moment, I just was thinking, what will it be like as an adult? I swear I was like 9 or 10 years old. And I know that because I had a birthday where I was just turning 9 or I was just turning 10. Because I remember my Aunt Becky got me a birthday card. And somebody else got me the same birthday card. But it was Garfield. But anyway, I was looking at the sky and I was wondering, like, what will my adult life be like? And coming from where I'm from, especially in the time period where I grew up, like everybody was poor. There were times where we had to heat the house with the stove, or we had to go get water from my grandmother's house and boil it and use that because our water was cut off. It's so many things that I can think about. And so being in those conditions, even though my mother worked her ass off and we had a tight niche neighborhood, first of all, everybody looked out for everybody. And my family, like we was all close. My grandmother lived 2 doors over from where I lived at. So we all sort of networked. So and that's why I've been jaded about regarding the term friends, because my first friends and best friends were my family members. So a lot of people don't have that same narrative. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. I didn't for once think that I would be able to experience and accomplish half of the shit that I've accomplished.
Amen.
And it's just so surprising because from where I come from, and when I first moved to Atlanta, people would tell me, man, you made it out, you got away. It was almost like we was in prison, which I understand now that we was in a mental prison, but that was one of the best things. Like, I don't think college did a great job as far as academia. I just don't think. I think if you was paying to go to college for academia, I feel like I lost that investment, was trash. But the experiences that I gained from actually mingling with people from all over the country, people outside of the country, traveling from one college to the next, and just those experiences, now that's priceless. That stuff, right? Like, I got long-term friends, you guys, from when I was a child, and other friends from when I was a child that I really still keep in contact with, and we can hang out if we in the same city, whatever we do, a lot of things. That was the experience that showed me, in addition to, starting to learn about who I come from. I did a genealogy test, and it says that I come from, I'm a direct lineage of Pharaoh Ramses III. And
okay, royalty.
I know my father, when people talk about my father, they talk about how intelligent he was. They talk about his IQ was so high. And before I had the confidence and the desire to be better and to have more, and not just materials, but just to be more. Before I had that mindset, I just looked at my day like he's smart. He talk a lot of shit. He's smart, you know. But once I got through my hangups and started understanding that, hey, I'm important too. I'm a special person. Then I started investing into my intelligence. And now I'll be like, man, I wish I thought like this when I was in college. But now that I think like this, like I got my hands in everything. It's almost like I got spider arms because I got a podcast going. I got a morning show that I just started, working on this documentary series, got music out, and looking to get back into stand-up comedy soon. So it's like, I know that I can, just like you said, when Tanika, when you said you want something, you know you're going to get it. You just don't know when. And that's because of how you manifest things into by your actions. You get focused. You get, well, I know I do. You get sort of sidetracked and focused on that. Like people will be calling me and I'm like, I can't talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on something. I can't talk.
Yep.
And then years go by and you got it. Like this studio I got set up right now. I've been talking to people since 2013 or 14 about getting my own podcast going again. And now we're here. And so I want to become I want to become a mentor. I got a partner that we're talking about developing a non-for-profit to be like mentors to inner city youth. And I'm looking to bring that into fruition, because people, we have a lot of things to share. The thing about it, what's the saying? It said, if you give a man a fish, he eats for one day.
Mm-hmm.
You teach the man to fish, he eats for multiple generations. And so there's information out there that's free that a lot of us are holding on to, like the people that have the eyes and ears of the people. They're not sharing that information because if I'm the only one in the village that knows how to make a peanut butter and jelly
That's
sandwich,
right.
Yep.
then you're going to lean to me for me to give you the power. But if I empower
Mm-hmm.
you with learning how to make that same scrumptious, delicious peanut butter sandwich, peanut butter
Yeah.
jelly, then the whole village will eat. And we need more of that sharing of information that will cause a people to aspire to really be great. And when I
Right.
say great, I mean greater than great, because that's
Oh
what we
yeah.
have in our DNA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? In everything you said, I have to say I totally agree with that because, even me in real estate, that's one of the things I always tell people. Look, I will tell you everything I'm doing because there's no secrets and there's more than enough for all of us to eat. So why should I sit here and act like I figured it all out and then hide it from others?
Right.
So I agree. You got to share, because if you are receiving things and just holding on to it and your hand is closed, you'll never be able to receive anything else
Come
because your hand is
on.
That's
closed.
right.
You
That's
have to
right.
open it up. You have to be willing to give away to receive. And that's how we've lived our life. And because of that, we can sit here and be like, you know what, outside of a house, we're pretty much debt free. Outside of this, like my kids going to college in the spring, the
The
fall,
fall.
and it's like, hey, we're gonna write that check. Like, you can't get there if you are that person that is always just me,
Mm-hmm.
keeping everything close, not being willing to share and to give. You have to give more than you ever receive.
Mm.
And you better talk that. You better talk that. Speaking of real estate, though, so what advice, pdiddy.com, would you give somebody that's possibly looking to acquire some property? Because here's my thing. I want to eventually move to Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And I know right now you can get dual citizenship, so where you can go over there and, kind of transition over there. And I know the real estate over there, cost-wise, is way better than over here, because the things that you can get here, it's going to cost you 200, 300, 400 on up for something nice. And even if you pay that house off, I got a homeboy that paid his house off, and he got hit with like a $50,000 bill that he had to pay because he paid his house up. I'm like, that's highway robbery. But you still have to pay those taxes. So you got people that are okay with that. And if I didn't want to move to another country eventually, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But right now, I'm kind of going in between because the money that you have to put down for the down payment, the closing costs, and then you have to have maintenance money for the different, mishaps that might happen. How, like, and let me finish with Ghana. And then you go to Ghana and you can buy that same house that's 300,000, 200,000 here, over there for like 20 and 30,000. And once you pay for that house, that's yours because you don't have to pay taxes on the land. So how can, like, I'm struggling right now because I'm in the middle. It's almost like the superhero movies where somebody got the sun in their left hand and then the moon in the right, and they trying to keep them from colliding or something. I'm trying to make that decision for me. And I've been a nomad all my life, almost. Like, I've been to 3 high schools. I've been to 3 colleges. I've lived in multiple cities. And it's like, when I saw that movie with LL Cool J and Gabrielle Union, where he got uncomfortable and he stayed somewhere for a long time, that's always been me. And so when I think of home ownership, it's like, man, I'm going to spend all this money for this house and then I'm going to want to just get up, wake up one day, you know what? I want to move to New Jersey.
Well, I would say that first, because you asked some great questions. One, everybody's paying a mortgage. Everybody. If you are renting an apartment, there is some investor or investors that own the entire complex.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Their mortgage.
Yeah.
You are paying their mortgage.
Yeah.
If you are renting a house, you are paying someone's mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, everybody is paying a mortgage. It's just a matter of whose mortgage are you paying? Are you paying your own or someone else's? So kind of you ask, that question kind of, but then you also ask, well, why buy in the States, or why not move somewhere else? Fear. Even now, I would say that your debate within yourself is based off of some, fear.
Yeah.
Because there is the idea of, I'm going to move to another whole country. I don't know anybody. What does that look like? Yes, it makes sense economically, but what about my mom? What about my family? What about if somebody gets sick? And sadly in America, we are raised on fear. So my wife and I have discussed multiple times about, at some point, we're packing up and moving outside this country. It's cheaper to live outside the United States. And people paint this picture of the world being a third world country everywhere but the U.S.
Right.
If you travel at all, you will quickly realize that is a lie.
Right.
I have been to other cities where I'm like, man, this is just like being an American, or better in some ways, because as an African American, as a Black person, we are received very differently compared to how we are received in America. So, I would say that those are 2 biggest things. Is one, don't let fear stop you from doing anything. If it's moving out of the country, buying a house, or going skydiving, whatever it is, don't let fear stop you. And secondly, remember that real estate is an investment, and it's a long-term investment. It's a proven fact that one of the reasons that the wealth gap is the way it is because we as African Americans weren't even able to buy houses until, really honestly, my parents were the first ones to be able to buy a house without a lot of restriction, and we're the first true generation to be able to buy a house with no restriction. So there's nobody redlining us. There's nobody telling us we can't live or be in a certain neighborhood or go have our kids in a certain school district. And at the end of the day, that's how you build wealth in America. It is through real estate. People can feel how they want about Trump, but his family built their fortunes off of real estate. And even now, as this country is going through these different shutdowns and shelter in places, they said, hey, you know what? Real estate, that's an essential. They put real estate on the same level as a doctor or a nurse that's trying.
I'm about to go look at a crib Sunday.
Exactly. And you know why? It's because you cannot find anybody that's got real wealth that doesn't have some piece of real property that is a part of that portfolio. You can't. And
That's
unfortunately,
impossible.
we as African-American Black people, we get talked out of it. We let fear stop us. We let that little 3% on an FHA loan get us afraid. And we're like, I can't afford 3%. You know, people are like, literally, I have put people in the houses where they spent $2,000 and they bought a house. And now it may not be their dream house. It may not be the house on the hill, but I promise you they're doing better than the person that's not owning. They are. Because every penny they spend is going back to themselves, ultimately, long term.
Long term, yeah. So speaking of that, they might not be what they want. Do you dibble in investment properties?
You know, we've discussed it multiple times, and it's on our to-do list to own multiples.
Complexes.
You know, I mean, we want to own complexes. You know, I want renters. I like renters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, renters pay bills, my bills,
and my kids' bills,
and my kids' bills, and my kids' bills.
They pay bills until they don't.
Hey, but you know what? And that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
The reality is, if you want to really be someone that has the opportunity to build wealth, you have to be willing to take risks.
Right.
But you have to be wise about how you take those risks. Exactly. So if you are overextending yourself and can't afford to pay for multiple properties, then why do you own multiple properties? You know,
True.
Right now, there are people that are losing their jobs. They are in horrible situations. And if they are renting or owning and can't pay, well, you know what? If you're renting, hopefully that landlord is able to cover it or to take care of it themselves, because they've been putting it away, not just eating it all up. Mm-hmm. In our community, we want to eat everything up. You can't eat everything that comes into the house. You got to put some away for a rainy day.
Yeah. Or invest it. You need to flip it. What the gangsters flip? They need to flip it. I don't know. I don't know that street talk.
What them young fellas say? You gotta flip the wrist. What they talking about? See, you got to flip it. That's what they say.
That's what they're flipping it. Flip it.
Yeah, I thought about. I want to get into. Man, there's so many things I want to get into, man. And I swear, and as an adult, this is when you know that you have officially become an adult. When you start looking at appliances like, damn, that shit cold as hell right there.
For real? That is no joke.
Look at that fan. Woo! Oh, put some greens on that
thing. That is real talk.
So I find myself like, if I'm out, I walk past a lawnmower, I'm like, that is a nice lawnmower. What is that? You say that? The John? Yeah, that is nice. So I'm not really spending my money on clothes and sneakers. Like, I have become somebody's granddaddy. I go, I don't buy no sneakers that's over $40, $50 max. I don't buy clothes that cost more. Like, I'm in there bargain shopping. Like, let me see what they say. They got a coupon with that?
For real?
30%. All right, let me get one of them. Yeah. I'm in there like Chris Rock. How much for one rib?
Right. Just one. That's all I want.
And then pull out a watch. Like, no, this ain't for y'all. I just want one rib.
Right. And a glass of water.
Right. So I want, I started dabbling into the stock market a while ago, and I was so excited. Like, Amazon was like at $700, and I gathered like 3 of my closest family members that I talk to regularly, and I say, hey, let's build a company, investment company, or however we're going to legitimize it, whatever the logistics, and let's put like $300 a piece every little pay period and buy shares of Amazon while it's $700, because I'm like, I know it's going to go out of this world. And because I wasn't an expert, because I couldn't ease all the woes of my family members that really didn't at the time play with the stock market, we didn't do it. And I understand it was fear, and I couldn't reassure them that they weren't going to lose their money. But when I looked up in the stock market and I saw Amazon going for $1,400, it was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ain't that we done lost all that money, left it on the table. So I've been looking for, because like when you spoke about your legacy, oh my gosh, why didn't I know that was going to be so important to me? Like when I was an adolescent, 20-year-old, why didn't I like nobody ever sat me down and be like, look here now.
And that's why you didn't know.
That's why I didn't know.
Because we don't talk, because Our parents didn't talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Stop talking back. Stop crying. It was very almost
dictatorship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've kind of, like, my dad looks at me sometimes like we're crazy the way that we have trained our girls, to have an opinion, to have discussions. We've taught them about legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't want mini-me's, but I do want them to understand and respect what legacy is.
Mm-hmm.
Even something as simple as, like, I'm in a sorority and I have daughters. One's going to college. And it's important, if she chooses a sorority, she should choose the sorority that I am in, because I have already paid my dues and put in all this work so that you can have this. And that goes so far beyond just something as trivial and simple as that. But we don't have those conversations, and that's why you didn't know.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of which, I had this intern that was at my in my department, and his father has a business that's functioning, and not just functioning, it's doing well. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to go into that business." I said, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I want to do something over here." I was like, "Dude, incorporate that into what's already been established.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just don't let this go to the wayside because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you want. Put those bells and whistles in that and grow. Like, make your father's company the transformer of all companies."
That's right.
Yeah. Take it to that next level. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I envision for me, myself, if I ever do have children, is, okay, by the time they reach adulthood, in my mind, just based off of what I want to teach them, they will have a fully functioning company that can support multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we keep going to, like, the wealth gap is crazy. And if we keep having to go outside of us to look for jobs, never gonna catch up.
It'll never change.
If we have to, it won't.
I mean, ownership, earlier you said if there were things that I would do differently. I wish that I understood the importance of two things differently: the importance of ownership and compounding growth. Those two things are things that really can change one generation to the next.
And that's off top, that'll create a solid legacy, whatever that might be, just by following that guideline. So what would you guys tell your younger selves? Like, what kind of advice would you, even if you had to go through the same situations, like, what would be some of the advice that kind of just, it's like regular advice, like my daddy used to say all the time. He'd say, "Son, excuses like an asshole. Everybody has one and everybody stinks." And that was him. Like, he would ask me something, and you try to lie, or you try to give a little wimpy excuse why you didn't do whatever. And it's like, nah, that ain't how life works, son. Everybody has an excuse that didn't complete whatever this was that they were supposed to complete. So once you admit that you didn't do it because you dropped the ball, now you can actually go forward and get out of that slump. So what would be sort of like a static statement that you can apply across the board that you would give your younger self as a means of advice?
Okay, I'll start.
I'll let you go.
Since you looked at me first. The biggest piece of advice I think that I would give my younger self, well, there's a lot. But the one piece that really comes to mind is take into consideration people's perceptions of who they see you as, and don't just dismiss it because you don't see that for yourself. And what I mean by that is, over my life, there have been lots of situations where people would say, "Oh my gosh, Nik, I see you as this." And because I wasn't mature enough or adult enough or grown enough or whatever it was, I would reject it because that's not who I saw myself as at that moment. Eventually, I would become that person, right? So if I would have taken the advice and listened, I guess more than anything, just listen to what people have to say about who you are and allow people to pour into you and speak into you. I think that would have changed a lot of my choices, and it wouldn't have been such a bumpy road to get to where I am now.
So were you more of the know-it-all or something?
Yes. Well, I mean, I knew it all for me, right? Because people sum me up basically, people will size you up based off of the way you look within 5 seconds or whatever it is that they say. And who are you to come and try to tell me anything about me when you don't even really know who I am? But what I didn't understand is intuition. I didn't understand perception. I didn't understand energy and how people can read that off of a person. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I knew what I knew for me. Like, I just didn't, when I was younger, I didn't listen to anybody.
I run into so many young folks that's like that now. You try to give them some game and be like, hey, this, that. Nah, you just old. And I'd be like, was I like that when I was a kid? Like, I'm giving you the game that older people didn't give me. And you like, nah, that ain't right. You just old. And as soon as they experience it in their lives, they're going to be like, oh, shit, this is what he was talking about. But at that point, it's too late.
A lot of times. And then you have to start, like, this life wasn't meant for you to figure it out by yourself.
Well, I would say if I had to give some advice to my younger self, a mantra or something for me to hold on to and live by, mentors matter. Reality is you cannot figure it out all on your own.
Right.
And I don't care how much you Google. I don't care how smart you think you are. If you are constantly trying to figure out something somebody else has already figured out how to do, you're wasting time.
And money.
And so for me, that's been something that, people always ask me, how'd you end up where you are? I'm like, look, I just ended up here. Like, I really cannot tell you the path I took to end up where I am. Like, if you ask me where to take a right turn, I'll be like, look, man, you're going to go around and around about 10 times. Then you're going to park on the side of the road. You're not going to look at your map because you don't even know where you're going.
Right.
That's my life.
But you ended up where you went.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that then I see other, I have other friends and people in my life, and I look at their lives, and it's not like, I want their life, but they didn't have to go through all that because they had mentors. They had mentors in their marriages. They had mentors in their finances. They had mentors in their careers. They had people and that doesn't mean you're always going to listen to your mentor, but it's important to have people that can say, look, I've been down that dark alley, brother, and that ain't where you want to go. Because instead you go down there and you get hit in the back of the head with a bottle, and now you laying there on the ground wondering, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
It's just taking you further back. Like, I could be so much further ahead than where I am today if I had mentors, because I have the hard work. I have, I got the work ethic. I've got the discipline. I've got all those other things that are needed. But if you are just blindly walking in the dark trying to figure it out, you are going to stumble and fall a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need each other.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that right there is, I knew that from a child. Like, I used to love talking to older people, especially if you had something to say, like, especially when I was in college, man, anytime I got around an old person that had some sense, because there's a lot of old fools out there, but you come across those that have some sense, and I'm just sitting there soaking it up. But I remember I was in the sauna at Indiana State, and this old dude came in there, and he's like, son, I'm going to tell you what. Why are you still young? Have all the sex you can have. I said, because it was building up, and I'm like, oh, this dude about to teach me some game. I got in the corner, started drinking my little water, like, yeah, so what's going on, player? What you talking about? Let me tell you something. Get all the coochie you can possibly get. What?
That's
no. I mean, and as a 20-year-old, that was my mindset, but I didn't want you to tell me that. I wanted you to actually give me something that I could use to go, you know what I'm saying? So that was one of my things. I always wanted to get the game, because like you said, you've been here longer than me. So you should know something to be like, hey, young blood, as they say, young blood, gonna turn this corner, go right. Don't go left, because they're gonna start shooting at you. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, so I think that's real beautiful, man. Just seeing y'all sit there, man. Y'all are the real life Cosbys.
The more like the Obamas.
Yeah, I ain't no kid.
I think if Obama was anything like PR, then that White House would have been burnt down.
Now, I mean, you weren't about to burn down my house.
He
No,
he wouldn't have made it to the White House. He never
walk out on the front lawn in his boxers, some cowboy boots. What happened? Why so fire, babe? Well, what y'all got coming up next? Now about your podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all ever foresee yourself like going on the road?
I would be on Oprah Winfrey at some point. We talk about seeing where you want to be, and for me, that's where I see myself being a guest on her show and sharing about Black love, going on the road, having guests. Yes, definitely, because our community needs this. We need to know that we can have positive marriages, that we can have wealth, that we can grow together. It doesn't have to be this one person's going to the right and one person's going to the left. It doesn't have to be a bunch of foolishness. Like, we can have this, and it exists.
And it doesn't just exist when you first jump the broom. Like, Rich and I have been married for almost 19 years. And that's a testament to each other. Like, we are each other's first marriage. Mm-hmm. We have trained our children together as a unit. So I think it is so important, not just for younger couples who aspire to be married or who are just married, but even for older couples to understand that this is real. Like, this is real life. We are not faking and shaking and pretending. We'll be very honest and transparent about some of the issues that we've encountered in our marriage and with our children. And I think that having that real tangible thing that you can touch is so important for people, because a lot of times if you can't see it, you can't touch it, people don't believe it. So yeah, on the road, my biggest goal, as I keep saying, is I want 1 million listeners a week. Every single episode, I want 1 million listeners and a lot of, sponsorships and the whole thing. But at this point, we're just really having a good time making the podcast, coming up with the topics. We enjoy when we get feedback from the people that listen to our podcast. And right now, just taking it one day at a time. Of course, we have a vision, but like everything else, it's probably going to be way bigger than we've ever imagined it to be.
Always. That's how it always works. When you dream, like they say, when you shoot for the stars, you may not hit the star you want, but you'll land on another star. So tell me, how are you sort of integrating your social media already into the podcast?
So my podcast, my podcast.
Not part of it no more. I got 5. I wasn't good enough.
Naked Proverbs is completely separate. I do talk about it because I want to leverage my following a little bit, to say like, hey, look what we're doing, because I do have those diehards that no matter what I do, and I appreciate y'all, like I love y'all, no matter what I do, no matter what my kids do, no matter what my husband does, they are following us and they want to be a part of our family and a part of our journey. So I talk about it mainly in my Instagram stories, not so much on my Facebook page, and definitely not on my YouTube channel. But Naked Proverbs is its own separate entity, and it's just something that I do right now. I'm not looking to really build the Nik Scott brand off of Naked Proverbs. I really want Naked Proverbs to grow organically and become what it's supposed to be.
Gotcha.
So we have conversations sometimes around McDonald's. McDonald's started off making a hamburger.
Correct.
There were no fries. There was no cheeseburger. There was no Happy Meal. They were proud of their hamburger. And after they were like, 1 billion hamburgers sold or whatever it was, then they started to market other things. And so for us, like, I don't post about Naked Proverbs on my business page because that's not what that's there. That's a whole separate business. I mean, we both wear multiple hats. So Do I share Naked Proverbs? Of course I do, but it's on my personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on my business stuff.
Right.
I look at some of these. If you think of, as an example, Audi is owned by, I don't know, some other company, right? When people own multiple companies, they don't mix their branding.
Or like Candy Burris. You always bring up Candy.
Yes.
She got famous singing, right? Now she's on Real Housewives of Atlanta, but she has multiple companies. And if you go to her personal page at Candy, I think is what it is, you will see her mentioning her companies, but her personal page is not saturated with all her companies because her companies have their own social media entities and own following. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Me, how I'm doing the total opposite of what y'all talking about. and here's why. Because based off of what you just said about your diehards, like the diehards that I have, I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know a lot of the diehards. Like they supported me in comedy when I started doing the production. Like they supported my film, they support my music. So although I do have my outside entities like with Instagram and stuff, I always make sure I reach out to them on my personal stuff, like, hey, come over here and check out this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just weird like that. Plus I'm not organized. I'm working on my organization.
I understand. You need somebody that like Rich did for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that keeps me focused because I can be all over the place. And I used to get offended when he would tell me when we were younger. I did. Well, and because sometimes it was his delivery.
Anime, what'd I tell you?
Right.
But he has definitely, he's helped me in that area. And yeah, I wouldn't be the woman, the entrepreneur, as successful, the mother, the wife that I am today without him.
Top 50 greatest women. What is it?
I am one of Colorado's top 25 most powerful women. I'm top 25.
You better shut it. You better shut it.
Hey, I will not shut it. This is one of Colorado's top 25, baby.
Oh, and you know what? Can I go back?
Cheers.
Yeah.
Can I go back to that things I would tell my younger self?
Yeah.
Why you want to go back?
Because you just said something, and I think it's so important for especially us as Black people. It's okay to shine.
Ooh,
we are always told
trying to dim our light, especially if you in the religious church
scope. Or no, you don't want to be too great because then you become a threat. But you know what? It's okay to hype yourself and let people know, you know what? I am tight.
Walk in that privilege.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I would say that's confident. Our confidence is stolen from us before we come out the womb.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you just see, like, when I go back in my childhood to my teenage to my young adult, like from the television, from the inferior mindset that's placed on you through the religions, the education that only teaches you how you weren't nothing but slaves. It's like, man, your confidence is stolen. And if you never get to a point to where you start looking for yourself, if you never get to that point where you want to find who Jamille is, if you never have that desire, you'll never understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But once you get that desire and then you get a little taste of who you supposed to be based off your history, like, I got some of them crackers.
Seriously.
Weekends. And then you become a monster in a positive light. Like, out of all the stuff I do, people always tell me, man, who did this for you? Like, I did it. Man, that's so professional. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I tend to try to be professional from time to time. And I enjoy the compliments, but it's funny. My grandmother's old school, and when we was younger, people in the neighborhood, like particularly this neighbor across the street, she would ask my grandmother if we could cut her yard. And so we'd be like, yeah, we're going to cut her grass. We're going to get about $5. And we would cut the woman's yard, and the woman would give us like $5, $10 a piece. My grandmother would say, turn around and give her that money back.
Mm-hmm.
So what that was teaching you, and I kind of understand where it comes from, but it's a different time. Like that basically told you that you're not really worth.
Yep.
You're not your work isn't worth money. So then that's why you find yourself underbidding for your at work. Instead this job goes for 80 grand, but you can, man, just give me about 65.
No. Give me all of my coin.
You know, or they'll be like, well, you're not gonna get a promotion this week, even though Sarah or Jim gonna. You be like, nah, player. And so you don't speak up for yourself, and that's like the seed of. And I know that wasn't what she intended to do.
Right.
That was just. And as an Aquarius, I don't like tradition, because tradition, when it was created, it might have worked for that particular period in time. But most traditions that you didn't create don't work for you. Speaking of me, I don't know about anybody else, but
no,
y'all both Aquarius.
You speaking my language, brother Aquarius.
Yeah, that's right, you are Aquarius, nigga.
Oh, through 100%, honey, with the Gemini moon rising.
Man,
so I'm all air. It's all air over here.
When I have kids, I swear I want to do it to the point where they're gonna come out to be Aquarius. I don't want no other side. I won't.
Whoa.
Well, you know, Libras are a great balance.
They are the most balanced in the world.
They're a great balance. They're also an air sign. I mean, I do kind of connect with air signs more than others. One of our children is a Leo. And one of our children is a Pisces. So as an Aquarius mother, with those fire signs and sensitive signs and always want to cry signs.
Well, and this is why I want an Aquarius child, though. And whatever one I get, if I have one, that's cool. But I particularly won't.
You're gonna be planning.
Yeah,
it could be the end of January, beginning of February.
10 months, right? Officially 10 months. No, but I found a study where it said Aquarians that's the most progressive zodiac.
It's true.
And I see it because in conversations, I could be talking about some stuff, and then the people I'm with, they be like, man, here you go with that bullshit. Even though later on down the road, when it happens, they be like, you know what, you was right. I know, because we don't speak on things unless we know it to be a fact. So that's the reason.
And we're great visionaries. Like, we're great at seeing into the future where people can't see.
Yeah.
I can talk about that all. Come on now.
Come on, church. But ain't no wrong. We need to be balanced out. I need some balance now. So, PR.
He's a great balance. I couldn't imagine being married to another Aquarius. What type of tsunami shit would that be?
Yeah, that would be like. And I know when we was first logging on, PR was like, "It's okay."
I'm like, I am so annoyed.
You was annoyed, like I was annoyed. I was like, God damn it, Facebook, you mother. You are like, hey, just calm down.
Y'all were all annoyed. I was like, all right.
He's like, just be positive. I'm like, I don't need you to tell me to be positive.
Oh, I'm like, I'm about to set this whole setup on fire.
For real.
Yeah, just calm down. Turn that plug on. Hit that button. It'll be okay. Yeah, that's good though. So, what do you guys have coming up?
Well, we air on Sundays at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Do y'all go live or y'all just record it and then upload?
We're live on Sundays at that time, and then we do a follow-up session. So we're a legit podcast, no real video on our live at noon. But then at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, that's in Denver, we actually do a live video where we kind of go over the podcast and go a little bit deeper. And that's actually live as well, but that's with video.
So y'all got options.
Yeah, we really want to keep our audience engaged. The live talk back at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, that's actually new. And we started doing it last week. So we would love for people to start to join us just so we can connect with people in a different way. And we know that when people are listening to our episodes, they don't agree with everything that we say. And we don't, clearly, because we're perfect, right? So, but we would love to engage in that way, just to have some dialogue about whatever the episode is that dropped earlier that day. So that's new. In the future, and this is just a teaser, we will have a product coming out where it's specific to married couples, where you can get a daily dose of Black love, tips and tricks and things that you can do to help your relationship. But that's later down the road.
I was about to say that y'all better hear him put that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2020. I mean, look, we on quarantine, everybody on lockdown, ain't no excuses. Get in there and get to work. Make it happen.
Here we go. Look, he comes up with the ideas and I do all the work.
Listen,
and it be all professional. It's so professional.
Yeah. If that one guy, I don't know his name, if he can sell cards, like spade cards, and he don't be talking about shit. Boy, he be oh goodness. But anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, because I was gonna say I want to see you guys write a book.
We've talked about it.
Oh wow, a book.
But
a book.
It's kind of like you said. We talked about our podcast for years.
Yeah, we did.
Like years, centuries before we finally.
It was at least a decade.
Made
centuries.
It took us a long time, and I think that's the thing about us, though, is we don't like to half-ass anything,
right?
Because unfortunately, people are already going to hold Black people to a higher standard,
right?
So we can't come out with it sounding like it's in our backyard or in our basement. Like our podcast needed to come out sounding really well, or when we write our book, or the things that we do.
You said when.
They just have to be at a certain level because that's what people expect. But it's also because I'm a perfectionist.
You are.
And
so am I.
So is my wife. Like, that's why she was getting all irritated about the sound and everything, because for her, she's like, look, I can't have it sounding back. So
I get you. Yeah. I think I'm gonna write a book. I've started this book like twice. And I keep losing it, and then I get bored real quick, and then I just go to something else. But I'm going to revisit that, and I'm going to put out my first book this year. I'm going to self-publish it, and I guess I could get started on it now, saying I'm working at home.
You can. Yeah. I think the important thing is just to trust the timing, right? Yeah. And I think social media especially will have us thinking that we're behind the curve and we should be doing things that we're not doing right now, but just trust the timing, because what's for you is for you, and what you're supposed to do, you will get it done. Like, you'll get it done.
And I mean, that's an author speaking to you, because she's written a couple of books.
I have. My husband plugging me. Go ahead, baby.
You gotta talk that. Tell us what the book is.
2 books I've written. Both of them are around natural hair, because as I said, I was a YouTuber, natural hair YouTuber. The first book that I published is called The 10 Easy Steps to Go Natural Without Cutting Your Hair Off. And it is a step-by-step guide for those women with highly textured hair who are looking to transition from straight hair, relaxed hair, to their natural hair. Mm-hmm. And then the other book that I have is a children's book. It's called My Hair is So Happy. And again, it highlights children of different hues with different textures of hair, all curly hair.
That is beautiful.
Nik Scott, at iNik Scott, nikscott.com. iNikScott.com, you can get connected to all of that stuff.
That's what's up. That is what. And PR, you still fishing?
Oh yeah, I just went fishing the other day, man. Yeah.
He done took it to another level though, Jamille. Like my husband ice fishes.
Oh yeah, I get on the ice.
He fly fishes.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's why I asked. I was like, that's some different. I never thought PR was into.
You ain't think Black people did that type of stuff. I know.
No, I know Black people. My grandfather loved to fish. I actually tried to fish a couple times, but I wasn't about to put the worm on the hook, and there was no real places to fish in Indianapolis. Like the pond that they took us to, it was like fish dead on the banks.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, no.
So I'm like, we shouldn't have been here, Granddaddy. But
we gonna eat the fish that come out of this.
Nah, we gonna catch these suckers and throw it back. But that was cool to see you in the different types of fishing. I was like, oh,
kayaking. He goes with his kayak. See, he's trying to make it so, yeah, I fish off the bank. No.
Yeah,
like,
get it in.
Like ice fish in the middle of the pond walking on the ice.
That's what that Colorado life will do for you now.
I guess. You won't catch me out there.
So do y'all have a website for your podcast yet?
NakedProverbs.com.
NakedProverbs.com. I want everybody that's under the sound of my voice to go to that website right now. Make that
right now
mark, and then go to Amazon and buy pub your book again.
10 Easy Steps to Be Natural Without Cutting Your Hair Off. And My Hair is So Happy.
And the author, what's your name? Author?
Nik Scott, NIKSC as in cat, OTT.
Nik Scott, the author.
Yes, that's his name.
Yeah, I gave her that last name. I don't know what we're gonna do that.
That was a whole conversation in itself.
PR, what can we plug for you?
Man, if you're looking to buy or sell a house
or invest,
I don't care where you live, as long as you're in the United States, internationally, I can make it happen. Give me a call.
You can do that?
I can do that.
Man, I wish I'd have known that, because then I would have had you my realtor.
Where are you at it on social media?
Check me out at Rich Scott Realtor.
Rich Scott Realtor.
That's right. Check me out. I'm the bow tie broker.
Yes, he is. He is the bow tie broker.
Yeah.
And he was Rookie of the Year last year.
No, that was 2 years ago. I won the Diamond Carrot.
Oh, in 2000. You better get it right. And you're a rising star this year.
Yeah, I do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this kind of selling homes out there, huh?
Yeah,
Sit your $4 ass down for me change and buy this house. Well, listen, y'all, it's been a pleasure having y'all, man. I've enjoyed. I don't even know how long we've been on here, but I've enjoyed this, and I apologize for the technical difficulty in the front end of this segment. But it's been all love, and I really hope that my listeners can take something away from that. I hope your listeners enjoyed my antics. Hope I wouldn't too. I hope to change.
This was good.
I love it.
And I look forward to networking with you guys again in the future, and just seeing you guys again in the future. I need to come to Colorado.
Soon.
Dispensary.
Right. As soon as this pandemic thing is over, come on out. You got to put out. Come on.
I definitely will. Well, listen, y'all have
in our bedroom, living room.
Y'all have a good weekend, man, and I will talk to y'all soon.
You too. Bye. Thank you.
The